The galaxy whispered one truth again and again, a truth older than governments and colder than dead stars. The Var Dominion could not be harmed. Their armor never broke. Their soldiers never fell. Their war machines walked untouched through every battlefield the galaxy had ever known. For 300 years, empires rose and died trying to stop them, but nothing worked. Laser cannons, fusion rails, supernova-class missiles, every weapon ended the same way. A dull metallic thud as the Var armor absorbed everything like it was nothing more than dust hitting stone. People called them the unbreakable wall of the galaxy, a force that turned resistance into a joke. Even the bravest soldiers feared their shadow. Humanity had stayed far away from the Var for one simple reason. They were small compared to ancient empires. Humans had heart, intelligence, and stubbornness, but they didn't have fleets as large as the Var, nor worlds as rich. So Earth chose diplomacy, peace, and caution. The Galactic Council, made of 40 alien civilizations, always warned humans. Do not provoke the Var. They cannot be defeated. And humanity listened. For centuries, humans kept the peace, built alliances, focused on science, healing, exploration, not war. But peace breaks faster than bones. When the Var expanded their territory toward Earth, the Galactic Council panicked. They contacted world leaders and begged for calm. Do not react with force, they said. Stay silent. Stay peaceful. We will negotiate for you. Humans agreed. They still believed diplomacy could fix everything. They did not know the Var were not coming to negotiate. They were coming to test a new rule. Any species that does not kneel will be erased. And then the moment came, the one decision that broke the galaxy's oldest rule. A Var warship intercepted a small human medical vessel. No weapons, no soldiers, no threat. Inside the little white ship were doctors, nurses, volunteers, and 23 human children being moved from one hospital to another. The vessel sent peaceful signals, friendly greetings, full identification. They repeated, "We are a medical ship. We carry children. Please allow passage." Everyone believed this would save them, because even the Var followed one universal law: never harm medical transports. But that night, the Var Dominion broke even their own law. Without warning, without mercy, without a single explanation, the Var attacked the medical ship. The footage spread across the galaxy like a storm. First came the flash of bright blue fire striking the vessel. Then came the shaking cameras, falling nurses, panicked cries. The ship tried to send one last message, just a whisper through static. But then the screen filled with fire. The children, the doctors, everyone was gone within seconds. The galaxy trembled. Even empires that hated humanity felt something heavy in their hearts. The Var had shown what they truly were, not an empire, but a plague. Earth watched the footage in complete silence. Not anger, not tears, just silence. A silence so deep it felt like the entire planet held its breath. For the first time in human history, not a single leader spoke. Not a single government argued. Humanity moved as one mind, one heart, one storm. And deep under the Pacific Ocean, far below the reach of satellites or scanners, old lights flickered awake in a forgotten tunnel. Dust fell from steel beams as ancient machines powered on. The ground vibrated softly as if something enormous was turning in its sleep. A massive metal door, untouched for 2 centuries, slowly opened with a sound like a giant exhaling after a long slumber. Inside the chamber were 10 sealed containers arranged in a perfect circle. They were black, tall, and cold, each one marked with a number from 1 to 10. No one alive had seen them before. No one alive even knew what they were, except the old files left behind by a generation humanity hoped it would never need again. The files were labeled only with one name: Project Decabreak. This project was not born in peace. It was born in fear that one day the galaxy would push humanity too far. The old scientists had built something the galaxy declared impossible. Weapons that didn't follow physics. Weapons that didn't follow logic. Weapons that were banned even before they were finished. The world leaders of that time hid the project deep underground, sealed it away, and swore humanity would never use it unless the galaxy broke its most sacred law. Now that law was broken. The chamber sensors detected the presence of human commanders who had come down in silent urgency. The system scanned their identities, matched them to a 2-century-old authorization list, and then the first lock clicked. Then another, and another. All 10 containers awakened, lights running across their surfaces like veins coming alive. Energy hummed through the room. Something inside those containers began to stir. The atmosphere became heavier, thicker, as if the weapons themselves were aware of the world above. The commanders stepped forward cautiously, their faces pale, not from fear but from the knowledge of what this meant. If these 10 weapons were being activated, then humanity had accepted war. Real war. A war where no limits remained. The first container opened with a slow hiss of cold air escaping. Metal plates separated, revealing something tall, armored, and terrifyingly silent inside. It wasn't a machine. It wasn't exactly alive either. It was something in between, something ancient, something human-built, something designed for one purpose alone: breaking what the galaxy believed unbreakable. Its eyes, if those glowing blue spheres could be called eyes, slowly lit up, scanning the room, absorbing everything. The air around it vibrated with quiet power. The commanders stepped back instinctively, not out of fear, but out of respect. They were standing not before a machine, but the last line of human survival. The being spoke, not loud, not angry, just a whisper carried by a voice deeper than any human throat could produce. Finally, it took one step out of the container, and the ground under its foot trembled. The galaxy had declared the VAR unbreakable. Humanity had just opened something built to prove them wrong. Above ground, the news of the medical ship attack spread like wildfire. Cities across Earth turned their lights off in mourning. People stood in the streets holding candles. Children who watched the tragedy felt something they had never felt before. A rage that humans rarely used, a rage that moved slowly, quietly, but with impossible strength. Armies around the world mobilized without shouting or cheering. They moved with calm precision like a storm walking on 2 feet. Scientists left their labs and boarded transports heading toward the Pacific bunker. Engineers packed their tools and whispered to each other about blueprints they hoped they would never touch. Retired soldiers put on their uniforms again, despite shaking hands and old bones. Humanity had no desire for chaos, but they had been pushed into something deeper than war. The galaxy always said humans were peaceful, maybe too peaceful. They called humans soft, gentle, diplomatic, even harmless. But they forgot something. Humanity did not stay peaceful because they were weak. They stayed peaceful because they chose to be. Now that choice was gone. As Earth prepared in absolute silence, watching the VAR fleet gather on the edge of the solar system, they knew something the VAR didn't. Humanity had built 10 weapons not to conquer, but to protect the one thing they could never replace: their children. The VAR had chosen the wrong species to provoke. And soon, the galaxy would understand why. Humanity moved with a silence the galaxy had never seen. After the medical ship tragedy, Earth did not shout, did not send threats, did not ask for help. They simply changed. A quiet storm began inside every human heart. Workers in cities looked at the sky longer than usual. Parents hugged their children tighter. Soldiers walked with a new weight in their steps, and scientists suddenly stopped smiling. It was the kind of silence that the universe listens to carefully, because it always comes before something powerful. The Galactic Council watched Earth closely, expecting humans to panic or crumble, but humans did something different. They prepared. In the Terran Pacific bunker, the being inside Container 1 fully awakened. Its body shimmered with strange metal that looked almost alive, shifting smoothly like liquid but standing solid like armor. It turned its head slowly, reading the room, reading the world above, reading the emotion of humanity. It did not think like humans, but it felt something from them. Anger wrapped in grief and grief wrapped in purpose. It recognized this emotion. It was born from it 2 centuries ago. The human commanders standing before it could feel its presence in their bones. It was like standing near a quiet volcano that hadn't erupted yet but carried centuries of heat inside. One commander, an old general with a tired face, stepped forward and spoke softly. "We need your help again." The being lowered its head, not as a servant, not as a weapon, but as something built to protect humans from the universe's cruelty. Its voice, deeper than metal scraping stone, whispered, "I woke for this reason." Above ground, Earth's leaders gathered in the global assembly. There was no argument, no politics, no confusion. Every nation agreed instantly. Humanity would not ask the Council for justice. They would not wait for diplomacy. They would protect their people themselves. A single message was sent across Earth: evacuate non-essential areas. Shield the major cities. Prepare for incoming conflict. But even then, civilians did not scream or run wildly. They moved with calm determination, helping each other, carrying the sick, supporting the elderly. The entire world acted like one family, wounded but strong, scared but unbroken. Meanwhile, the Var Dominion laughed. To them, Earth was just another small world to flatten. Their commanders bragged about the attack on the medical ship, calling it a test of human softness. They thought their armor was fate itself. They believed no weapon in existence could harm them. Their arrogance blinded them completely. They did not know what was waking beneath Earth's oceans. In the bunker, containers 2 through 10 hummed like sleeping mountains turning in slow motion. The energy flowing through the room grew heavy, almost painful to breathe. Scientists studied the readings with shaking hands. They whispered to each other about numbers that shouldn't exist, energy signatures humanity was not supposed to control, technology ahead of its time by centuries. Project Decabreak wasn't just weapons. It was imagination turned into danger. It was anger turned into science. It was humanity saying, if the universe refuses to protect us, we will protect ourselves. While preparation continued, humanity's emotions started changing. The first wave was grief, the second was sorrow, but the third wave hit hardest: unity. Parents who once argued over small things now worked together. Neighbors who barely spoke now shared supplies. Old rivalries disappeared. Humanity dropped all differences, nationality, race, beliefs, and saw only one identity: human. Something deep inside every soul awakened, something that had been quiet for too long. Humanity remembered that they were survivors who crawled out of caves, crossed oceans, walked on the moon, survived extinction, built empires, lost them, rebuilt them, and continued to rise. The Var Dominion sent a message to Earth. A cold voice filled every human screen. You will kneel. Your world will surrender. Resistance is pointless. The message ended with the Var Admiral laughing at the destruction of the medical ship. The galaxy expected humans to break at this moment. Instead, something else broke, the last thread of human patience. People across Earth clenched their fists. Soldiers trained harder. Scientists worked faster. Mothers and fathers looked at their children with fire in their eyes. Humanity did not kneel. Earth sent no reply. Silence was their answer. Because humans only speak when it matters, and their next words would be in the language of war. In space, alien empires watched Earth with shaking hearts. Some felt sympathy, some felt fear, some felt curiosity, but all of them felt the same strange tension in their bones, as if something old and powerful was rising from a deep sleep. They pointed their telescopes at the moon, at the oceans, at the ground below. Something was glowing under the Pacific waves. Something massive, something the galaxy had never seen. Inside the bunker, engineers connected ancient cables to Container 2. The lights flickered, the screens turned blue, and the doors slammed shut automatically as the second weapon prepared to wake. The energy surge shook the entire complex. Even the commanders took a step back. If Container 1 felt like a quiet storm, Container 2 felt like a tsunami trying to escape its chains. The machine inside was not humanoid like the first. It was shaped like a massive floating core surrounded by rotating metallic wings. Its energy pulsed like a heartbeat. When it activated, the ground vibrated as if the Earth itself reacted. The being from Container 1 spoke first. You should not wake the second yet. But humanity no longer had the luxury of slow choices. The Var fleet was already on the move. Satellites detected dozens of unbreakable war cruisers approaching the solar system at terrifying speed. Earth had hours, not days. The commanders made their decision. They activated Container 2 fully. The bunker shook like a living creature. The energy storm inside the room grew blinding. Scientists shielded their eyes as the core's wings spread open, revealing a blinding blue center filled with compressed gravity waves. Far above, deep in space, the VAR fleet detected a strange pulse coming from Earth. They dismissed it as a harmless anomaly. They did not understand that humanity had just woken something the universe told them could never be built. They did not understand that the rules of physics inside that bunker no longer applied. They did not understand that humans had stopped being peaceful. The engineers uploaded the first command sequence. A message written by the minds who created Decabreak 2 centuries ago. It said only 6 words: protect humanity at any cost necessary. Container 2 responded instantly. The wings folded inward, then snapped outward again with a burst of gravitational force that rippled through the walls without harm. It was not alive. It was not dead. It was purpose. While the weapons awakened, something even more emotional happened above ground. A mother named Liana Hale stood outside her home with her daughter, watching the dark sky. Her daughter asked, "Mom, are we safe?" The mother knelt down, tears in her eyes but voice steady. "We are safe because humans always protect each other." Hundreds of moments like this happened across Earth. Fathers comforting sons, sisters hugging brothers, strangers helping strangers. Humanity was not preparing for war alone. They were preparing with love, with fear, with unity. And emotions like that could move mountains. Earth's skies began filling with quiet activity. Human warships launched into orbit. Pilots climbed into cockpits with steady eyes. The entire solar system felt different. Even the sun seemed to burn a little brighter, as if watching the moment humanity changed its destiny. The VAR cruisers finally arrived at the outer edge of the solar system, expecting an easy victory. They did not know what waited for them beneath the ocean. They did not know what they had awakened inside humanity. They did not know they were about to face a species that only pretended to be harmless. Because the moment the first VAR ship entered human space, the beings from Container 1 and 2 lifted their heads at the same time. And they whispered the same word. Ready. The VAR Dominion entered the solar system with full confidence, their giant cruisers glowing with cold blue armor that every species feared. Their warships were shaped like floating fortresses, layered with unbreakable metal that no weapon in the galaxy had ever breached. VAR soldiers inside laughed, trained, drank, and bragged about how they would conquer Earth by sunset. They called humans soft. They called humans weak. They called humanity a mistake of nature, creatures who survived because stronger species allowed them to exist. They didn't know that every heartbeat on Earth was pulsing with a different energy now, an energy the VAR had never faced before. Purpose. Human satellites detected the VAR ships instantly. Alerts flashed across every human screen. But humanity didn't scream. Civilians in cities stood beside windows with calm, steady faces. Children looked up at the sky, not fully understanding the danger but sensing something huge approaching. Soldiers across human bases tightened their gloves and helmets, checking each other's armor with quiet discipline. There was no panic. There was only focus. Inside the Pacific bunker, the air hummed with unstoppable energy. Container 1 and Container 2 both stood awakened now, glowing like 2 new suns imprisoned inside a steel chamber. The being from Container 1 stepped forward as if listening to voices that no human ear could hear. Its armor shifted with a sound like deep metal breathing, every piece adjusting to combat mode. The core of Container 2 floated silently above its platform, its rotating wings gathering gravitational forces so strong that dust turned to powder before touching the ground. The lead human commander spoke into the quiet. VAR ships have entered human territory. Prepare for deployment. The 2 awakened weapons responded immediately. No words, no hesitation. Their systems shifted from dormant to active in a single heartbeat. The ground above the bunker split open as an ancient launch platform rose to the surface. Ocean waves crashed aside as if pushed by an invisible force. The platform glowed as Container 1's weapon walked onto it, its steps heavy, shaking the steel beneath. Container 2 floated beside it, generating a bubble of compressed gravity around itself. The launch tower lit up like a rising star. The sky above the Pacific turned from blue to white as a direct beam shot upward, creating a path to orbit. Humanity had not shown this technology in 2 centuries. The galaxy always believed humans could never build such power. They believed wrong. In the orbit above Earth, human fleets readied themselves. Pilots sat inside cockpits staring at the incoming VAR formation. 40 unbreakable cruisers, each one larger than a mountain, each one filled with warriors known for tearing through civilizations in days. One human pilot whispered into the comms, "This is for the children." All across the fleet, the same sentence echoed in different voices. It wasn't a war cry, it was a promise. The VAR admiral on the flagship looked at Earth with arrogant amusement. "Bring me their leaders," he ordered. "Alive if possible. I want to see their fear." His officers laughed. Their scanners showed no large human fleet, no superweapons, nothing that could harm them. They believed they were walking into another easy victory. But then their sensors detected something strange. 2 signals rising from Earth's surface. Signals that didn't match any weapon classification known in the galaxy. The admiral frowned. "Identify." The scanners tried and failed. They tried again and failed again. "Unknown," the system repeated. It was the first time in VAR history that their scanners couldn't identify a threat. The launch from Earth broke the clouds with a soundless burst of light. Container 1 and Container 2 shot into the sky like twin comets, climbing higher and higher until they reached orbit. Human ships made space for them immediately, adjusting their formations. Even human captains felt something cold run through their veins when the 2 weapons passed by. These were not machines. These were decisions. These were warnings. These were answers built long ago for the day humanity would be pushed beyond forgiveness. The VAR fleet targeted the 2 incoming signatures. "Destroy them," the admiral commanded. Hundreds of heavy plasma cannons pointed forward. The sky lit up with blue fire as the VAR unleashed a barrage big enough to destroy a city. The beams streaked across space and struck the first awakened weapon. But when the light faded, Container 1 stood untouched. Not a dent, not a scratch, not even a vibration. The VAR soldiers froze. Their voices shook as they repeated, "Impossible, impossible." The VAR Dominion had never seen anything survive their firepower before. For the first time, fear entered their armor. Container 1 raised its arm slowly. The plates on its forearm opened. A beam of white light, silent and thin, shot forward fast as thought. It did not explode. It did not burn. It simply touched the nearest VAR cruiser. And the ship's unbreakable armor cracked. A tiny hairline fracture at first. Then the crack spread like spreading ice across glass. The VAR ship shook violently as alarms screamed. Then the armor shattered. Not in explosions but in smooth, falling pieces, like a statue turning into sand. The VAR cruiser broke apart, tearing open into drifting metal fragments, silent and horrifying. The VAR fleet panicked. "Retreat, retreat now," an officer shouted. The VAR admiral screamed, "No human weapon can do this. Shoot again." But their second volley didn't matter. Container 2 had activated. The floating core rotated its wings, gathering invisible gravity around itself. Then it released that force in a pulse, a shockwave that couldn't be seen, only felt. The pulse traveled through space like a silent earthquake. When it hit the VAR ships, everything stopped. Engines shut down. Shields collapsed. Armor vibrated violently. Inside the cruisers, VAR soldiers were thrown to the floor, gasping as their bodies felt heavy, then weightless, then heavy again. Their unbreakable armor screamed under pressure, metal bending like cloth. One by one, the VAR warships crumpled inward, not exploding but folding like they were made of paper. The gravity pulse crushed them in perfect silence. Human pilots watched with wide, stunned eyes. They had expected a fight. They witnessed a massacre. The Council, watching through distant scanners, fell completely silent. Empires across the galaxy froze. This wasn't a defense. This wasn't resistance. This was humanity revealing what they had hidden for centuries. On Earth's surface, billions watched the livestream. When the first VAR ships fell, humanity didn't cheer. They didn't celebrate. Instead, many cried silently. Not because they were afraid, because they remembered the medical ship, the children, the doctors. Humanity wasn't fighting for territory. They weren't fighting for glory. They were fighting for the people they lost. And tears for the dead are stronger than any victory cheer. In orbit, the VAR admiral stared at the destruction with shaking hands. His voice cracked. What are humans? He didn't get an answer. The answer was already in front of him. Two awakened weapons built by a species that the galaxy spent centuries calling harmless. Container 1 turned toward the remaining ships. Its glowing eyes narrowed. It didn't speak, but every human felt the message in their bones. This is only the beginning. The destruction of the first VAR fleet spread across the galaxy faster than light. Every empire, every council chamber, every military base froze as the same unbelievable scene played again and again. Unbreakable VAR armor cracking like thin ice, VAR cruisers folding under invisible pressure, and two unknown human weapons standing untouched in the silence of space. Species that once mocked humanity suddenly fell into a quiet panic. Some whispered prayers. Others whispered fear. Many whispered the same shaken words. Humans hid this? All this time? Inside the Galactic Council Hall, chaos erupted. Dozens of alien ambassadors argued, shouted, accused, trembled. Some demanded Earth be investigated. Others demanded Earth be protected. Some even demanded Earth be exiled completely. But one truth cut through the noise: no one understood how humans built such weapons. No one understood what they were capable of. And no one, absolutely no one, wanted to provoke humanity now. Meanwhile, Earth stayed silent. Humanity did not send threats or warnings. They did not celebrate victory. They did not broadcast triumph. Earth chose quiet, because quiet was stronger than shouting. Quiet told the galaxy that humans were not done yet. In orbit, the human fleet surrounded the two awakened weapons. Pilots watched with a strange mixture of awe and grief. They had witnessed something impossible. A single strike from Container 1 that shattered a vessel feared for centuries, and a single pulse from Container 2 that crushed entire cruisers without sound. These weapons were not machines of destruction. They were the answer to a question humanity hoped would never be asked. What happens when you push humans past the point of forgiveness? The surviving VAR ships scrambled to escape. Their engines burned at maximum power. Their soldiers screamed into comms about ghosts, nightmares, impossible technology. But no matter how far they tried to run, they were still inside human space. And humans did not allow those who harmed their children to walk away alive. Container 1 lifted its arm again, but this time it didn't fire. It simply pointed. A thin red beam emerged from its palm and traced across the darkness, marking each fleeing VAR ship one by one. The human admiral did not understand what the pointing meant, until the core from Container 2 pulsed. The gravity wings rotated at full speed. Space bent around it like bending glass. A shockwave spread outward, silent yet unstoppable, touching each ship marked by Container 1. The targeted VAR vessels didn't explode. They simply vanished, crushed into nothingness, reduced to particles of dust drifting in the void. No debris, no wreckage, no survivors. The VAR Dominion had never experienced annihilation like this. They believed they were immortal. They believed their armor made them gods. They believed no species could challenge them. But now they watched their strongest cruisers vanish like smoke in wind. Inside one escaping cruiser, a young VAR soldier trembled at his console. His voice shook as he whispered, "This cannot be humans. This cannot be real." But the captain corrected him, tears gathering behind his crystalline eyes. "No, this is what humans become when you hurt what they love." Back on Earth, billions watched in silence. Children stood beside parents. Workers paused in factories. Students in classrooms stared at screens with wide, frightened, awe-filled eyes. The moment was heavy, not with joy, but with memory. Humanity had suffered. Humanity had cried. Humanity had buried their children. And now the universe saw their answer. In the Pacific bunker, containers 3, 4, and 5 started glowing subtly, sensing the battle in orbit. The energy inside them pulsed like giant hearts beating. The scientists monitoring the weapons exchanged worried looks. They had not even awakened the remaining weapons, yet the first 2 alone had changed the course of the war in minutes. The lead engineer whispered, "If we fully activate all 10, will Earth survive the power surge?" Another replied quietly, "We may not have a choice." Meanwhile in space, the remaining Varships attempted a desperate maneuver. They formed a defensive formation, 20 ships joining shields together to amplify strength. It was a move they had used for centuries, one that saved them in 1,000 battles. The Var admiral, shaking with fear but still trying to cling to authority, shouted, "Activate full barrier. Nothing can break combined Var armor. Nothing." Container 1 tilted its head, almost curious. Its eyes glowed brighter. It analyzed the shield. It studied the pattern, the rhythm, the frequency. Then it lowered its arm and clenched its fist. For a moment, nothing happened. Then, space cracked. Not physically, but visually, like reality itself bent under an invisible hammer. A ripple shot through the vacuum, a wave of pure distortion that slammed into the Var formation. Their combined armor glowed, sparked, resisted, then shattered in a blinding flash. The 20 ships twisted and fell apart in synchronized silence, drifting into nothing like petals blown from a dead flower. Every pilot in the human fleet felt their chest tighten. They had never seen anything like this. They didn't cheer. They didn't shout. They simply watched with a hollow respect and a deep sadness. War felt different when the enemy was truly evil, but victory still carried weight, especially when humanity didn't choose the fight. The fight was forced on them. On the ground, a little boy named Aaron watched the destruction with tears in his eyes. He had lost his cousin on the medical ship. He whispered to his mother, "Mom, are those the people who hurt Maya?" His mother hugged him tightly, voice breaking. "Yes, baby. And humans are making sure no other child will be hurt again." The boy rested his head on her shoulder, tears falling quietly. The whole world held its breath as thousands of such moments unfolded, moments of grief, pride, fear, and unity. Back in orbit, the last Var flagship tried to escape. It fired its engines violently, tearing through space with everything it had. But running from humanity was like trying to run from a storm that follows your heartbeat. The being from Container 1 slowly turned toward the fleeing flagship. It raised its hand one last time, but this time the weapon did something unexpected. It spoke. "You broke the rule." Its voice echoed across every human ship, every Var ship, every open channel. A voice that sounded like metal grieving. A voice that held centuries of silence. A voice that remembered why Project Decabreak was created. "You hurt our children." The flagship's armor shimmered, trembling under invisible pressure. The admiral inside screamed orders, begged for backup, roared for shields, but nothing worked. The weapon tightened its fist, and the flagship collapsed inward like a star dying under its own gravity. Then everything went quiet. The battle ended not with noise, but with the kind of silence that changes the future of galaxies. Humanity had shown the universe one truth. When humans are peaceful, the galaxy is safe. But when humans are broken, the galaxy trembles. The galaxy did not sleep after the destruction of the Var fleet. Planets far away felt the shock in their bones. Ancient species who once spoke with pride now whispered in fear. For centuries, the Var Dominion ruled through terror, through armor no weapon could break, through cruelty that crushed hope wherever it traveled. But now the unbreakable had broken, and the galaxy realized something terrifying. Humans had built 10 weapons, and only 2 were awake. In council halls across the stars, screens replayed the scene again and again. Var ships folding, shields breaking, the impossible happening. Leaders who once ignored humanity now leaned forward with trembling hands. The oldest among them spoke words that echoed through their chambers. "We never understood humans. We thought their kindness meant weakness. But now we see. Their kindness was simply the lock. Their fury is the key." For the first time in centuries, The galaxy understood the weight of a human heart. Meanwhile on Earth, everything changed. Civilians who once lived normal lives now watched the sky with steady eyes. They didn't fear the VAR anymore. Fear had been replaced by something deeper, something heavier. Resolve. Schools closed for safety. Families moved to underground shelters. Hospitals prepared emergency wings. Streets were quieter, but not with panic. Quiet with unity. Humanity had been wounded, but they stood shoulder to shoulder, determined to protect every life left. In the Pacific bunker, preparations entered their most dangerous phase. Sensors blared warnings as energy levels from containers 3, 4, and 5 surged higher. The entire chamber shook like a heartbeat too strong to contain. The lead scientist, Dr. Kira Salas, wiped sweat from her forehead as she monitored the readings. She whispered to her team, "Each container has a different purpose. One breaks armor. One bends gravity. The next 3, they target the mind, the sky, and the field." Her words carried fear because she knew the truth. Some of these weapons were never meant to be awakened unless humanity faced extinction. Above, in orbit, the human fleet continued scanning for more VAR ships. Pilots had dark circles under their eyes but refused to rest. Commanders spoke with controlled voices, knowing the universe itself was watching. The 2 awakened weapons, Container 1 and 2, stood silently near Earth, like twin guardians waiting for the next threat. But even they felt the tension in the air. They could sense something coming, something larger than the First Fleet. And they were right. Deep in space, the VAR Dominion reeled from their loss. Their emperor, a creature with crystalline skin and a voice like grinding stone, smashed his throne in rage. "Humans," he growled, "were never supposed to be a threat." His generals knelt before him, terrified. One stammered, "My emperor, these weapons, they break our armor. They defy our scans. We do not understand them." The emperor silenced him with a single gesture. "Then understand this, humans must burn." He activated the Dominion's ultimate war protocol, the deployment of the Oblivion Armada, a colossal force of 500 ships, including Titan-class destroyers capable of flattening moons. This would not be a raid. It would be total annihilation. On Earth, scanners detected the incoming armada long before it reached human space. A global warning flashed. "Oblivion Armada approaching. Expected arrival, 29 hours. Humanity stared at the message. Fear returned, but this time it mixed with fire. Families held each other tighter. Soldiers sharpened their blades and checked their rifles. Children whispered prayers before sleeping. In the bunker, Dr. Kira stepped to the main console and said what no one wanted to hear. "We must wake Container 3. The chamber darkened as a deep hum filled the walls. Container 3 glowed with soft red patterns, ancient symbols shifting across its surface. The creature or machine inside seemed to breathe. As the container opened, mist spilled across the floor like ghostly fingers. Inside was a tall structure covered in glowing lines, almost like a living tower with eyes hidden deep within the metal. It rose slowly, its presence heavier than gravity, its aura powerful enough to make even Container 1 step back. Dr. Kira whispered, "This weapon doesn't break ships. It breaks commands, thoughts, strategies." Container 3 was the Mindfract Seraph, a weapon that could disrupt enemy communication, scramble their senses, break their unity without firing a single shot. At the same moment, on Earth's surface, emotional stories unfolded in every corner. A father named Elias, who lost his daughter on the medical ship, stood alone on a balcony watching the night sky. He clenched her small drawing in his hands, a drawing of a spaceship with a smiling sun above it. Tears streamed down his face, but his voice was steady as he whispered, "I'm sorry we couldn't protect you then, but we will protect everyone now." Similar scenes happened in thousands of homes. Humanity carried grief like a torch, lighting the path forward with pain transformed into purpose. Meanwhile, human fleets prepared for the worst. Admirals gathered in the command center, their faces stern but calm. One asked, "Can our fleets survive the Oblivion Armada?" Another answered, "No, but we're not alone anymore." Her eyes drifted toward the screens showing the 3 awakened weapons. Humanity has guardians now. Guardians we never expected to need. The Oblivion Armada approached in a dark wave of steel and cruelty. These ships were larger, stronger, deadlier than anything earlier. The sky near Saturn darkened as hundreds of Titan-class vessels emerged from warp. Their presence was like the shadow of death sweeping across stars. Human pilots felt their hearts tighten, but they held formation. As the Armada advanced, Container 3 lifted from the bunker, rising into the sky like a silent angel of metal and light. Its presence warped the air, its aura spreading across the atmosphere. When it reached orbit, it aligned beside Container 1 and 2. The 3 weapons hovered like ancient guardians awakened by grief. The VAR Admiral scanned the 3 signatures and laughed. This time they die. He commanded all ships to begin firing. Thousands of plasma lances streaked toward Earth. Container 3 responded first. Its core pulsed with red light. A shockwave rippled outward silently. Every VAR pilot suddenly clutched their heads, screaming. Their vision blurred. Their hands shook. Their minds filled with noise, voices, illusions. Their targeting systems malfunctioned. Their engines drifted off course. Their ship formations broke apart like sand thrown in the wind. Container 1 then moved forward. Its glowing white eyes sharpened. It raised both arms, palms open. Twin beams of pure, silent energy shot outward. Titan-class destroyers, ships that once destroyed moons, cracked open under the beams, armor shattering like ceramic. One ship after another fell apart beautifully, silently, like metallic petals falling into space. Container 2 followed, unleashing gravity waves that bent the battlefield. VAR ships were dragged, crushed, twisted, and erased without sound. Human pilots watched with wet eyes. They felt grief. They felt justice. They felt human. Earth watched with hearts trembling. They saw not just war, but humanity fighting for the life of every child, every family, every dream left on their blue world. And as the Oblivion Armada began to collapse, the galaxy understood something crystal clear. Humanity was not using 10 weapons to conquer. They were using 10 weapons to survive. And survival makes a species unstoppable. The destruction of the Oblivion Armada did not calm the galaxy. It terrified it. Messages flew between empires like sparks in a storm. Some whispered that humanity had become the new apex species. Some feared humans would take revenge on the entire galaxy. Some prayed that Earth would never turn its weapons toward them. Others realized something deeper. The VAR Dominion had awakened a force they could not put back to sleep. But while the galaxy drowned in fear, Earth drowned in emotion. Families who had lost loved ones watched the battle replay again and again, not for pleasure, but for closure. They watched the VAR ships break, watched the impossible unfold. Some cried, some held each other, some whispered thanks. Humanity did not celebrate victory. Humanity mourned and stood strong. In the Pacific bunker, the damage from the awakening of the first 3 containers was growing. Cracks in the walls, heat radiating from floors, power systems struggling, lights flickering under the pressure of ancient technology. But humanity pushed forward. They had no choice. The VAR Dominion was still alive. Their emperor was still breathing, and his rage would be monstrous. Inside the bunker control room, Dr. Kira Salas stared at the readings of Container 4. The numbers made no sense. The energy output was higher than anything built by humans in the last 3 centuries. If we wake this one, she whispered, the Earth's crust might shake. The commander beside her replied, if we don't, the VAR will destroy us all. The silence between them wasn't fear, it was acceptance. Above Earth, the 3 awakened weapons hovered in orbit like living monuments. Container 1, the armor breaker. Container 2, the gravity storm. Container 3, the mind fracture. They formed a glowing shield around a world filled with fear and love and hope. Human pilots patrolled the skies around them, not as protectors of the weapons but as guardians of their own world. A young pilot named Samara looked at the rising glow from Container 3 and whispered, no one hurts Earth again. Not while we're alive. But far across the galaxy, in the dark throne room of the Var Dominion, the Emperor triggered something no one had expected. A last, desperate protocol. A weapon the Var had never used against any species because it cost too much blood. A weapon that fed on the lives of their own soldiers. The Emperor slammed his clawed hand against a stone altar. Ritualistic machines awakened. Dark energy pulsed through the chamber. Var soldiers screamed as life was drained from them, fueling the birth of a monstrous creation. The Dreadfall Engine. A super titan larger than cities, armed with armor many times stronger than any Var vessel ever made. It was the Dominion's last roar. A roar of madness. A roar of desperation. The Dreadfall Engine launched toward Earth like a falling star of death. Humanity detected it instantly. Screens across Earth turned red with a single message. World Ender approaching. People froze. Leaders froze. Even the awakened weapons paused, sensing the incoming death force. The Dreadfall Engine was not a fleet. It was a single titan capable of destroying continents. Human admirals gathered urgently. Sweat ran down faces, voices shook, and every breath felt heavier than the last. One admiral whispered, "Can our weapons stop something like that?" Another said, "If containers 1, 2, and 3 fail, Earth ends." Silence spread like a shadow. Inside the bunker, alarms screamed as the container chambers shook. Dr. Kira looked at the trembling metal walls, then at the readings from Container 4. "Wake it," she said. The command center fell silent. Everyone knew the risk, but they also knew something else. Humanity had survived everything in history because they dared to push farther when the world turned dark. The activation sequence began. The ground shook violently. Lights exploded. The temperature rose so instantly that sweat poured down every face. Container 4 glowed with blinding orange heat. The metal structure cracked open like a volcano releasing centuries of pressure. A deep, low hum filled the room. Too deep for human ears, too ancient for human understanding. The weapon inside rose slowly, surrounded by swirling molten energy. It looked like a giant armored guardian, with wings made of plasma and a chest glowing like a star trapped inside metal. It was the Solar Aegis Titan, a weapon that controlled raw stellar energy. As it rose from the bunker, the ocean around the launch platform boiled into steam. The sky turned gold. Birds scattered in fear. Civilians across Earth looked up, shielding their eyes, watching as a sun-like figure ascended into orbit. In space, the 3 awakened weapons turned toward Container 4 as it arrived. Even they stepped back. If machines could feel caution, they felt it now. Solar Aegis Titan hovered silently, its core burning brighter with every second. And then the Dreadfall Engine arrived. Space bent around the monstrous Titan as it exited warp. It was larger than mountains, covered in dark crystal armor that pulsed with stolen life energy. Var soldiers inside screamed as the engine fed on their souls to keep moving. Humanity had never seen such horror. The human fleet trembled. Many whispered prayers. Many held fear in their hearts for the first time since the war began. But the awakened weapons did not tremble. Container 1 stepped forward, forming its stance like an executioner preparing a final blow. Container 2 spun its gravity wings faster, bending space around it like soft cloth. Container 3 pulsed red as it reached into the Titan's mind, but something pushed back. Something ancient, violent, and hungry. Solar Aegis Titan moved, slowly, steadily, like a star stretching its limbs. The space around it heated. Human ships moved back instinctively. Even the other containers felt the heat. The Titan's voice echoed, not in sound, but in light that vibrated through every metal plate in orbit. Protect humanity. And then it unleashed its power. A beam of pure solar fire shot from its chest, brighter than anything human eyes had ever witnessed. The light didn't make sound, it erased sound. It hit the Dreadfall Engine with the force of a newborn star. But the Var Titan didn't break. It pushed forward, absorbing the heat, its armor cracking but not falling. The souls of thousands inside screamed and fed more energy into it. The Solar Aegis Titan pushed harder, its core burning hotter, the gold light turning white. Space itself boiled around them. Human pilots covered their eyes and watched shadows of titans fighting inside burning light. Finally, the dreadfall engine cracked, just a line, just a fracture, but it cracked. Earth breathed again. The Var Emperor felt the fracture from across the galaxy. He roared in fury. He demanded more life sacrifices. His throne room drowned in screams. The Titan gained more energy. The solar Aegis Titan faltered for the first time. Its core flickered. Its wings dimmed. Humanity gasped. The Titan felt their fear. It felt the weight of billions watching. And then it felt something deeper. Humanity's pain, humanity's grief, humanity's love. Its core reignited brighter, hotter, stronger. Powered not by rage but by human memories. Memories of children laughing. Families eating together. Friends hugging. Lovers holding hands under warm sunsets. The Titan roared with the fire of human emotion. The dreadfall engine roared with stolen lives. Sun and shadow collided. A blinding explosion tore through orbit. Alarms screamed. Human ships staggered. The container weapons braced. And when the light faded, both Titans drifted apart, wounded, but not destroyed. The battle for the fate of Earth had only begun. The explosion that shook orbit lingered in the minds of every human watching. Even minutes after the blinding light faded, the sky above Earth felt heavier, as if space itself was holding its breath. The solar winds around the planet flickered like nervous flames. Deep inside every heart on Earth, fear and hope twisted together like two hands gripping each other in the dark. In the command center, the screens showed the aftermath. Solar Aegis Titan drifting, its once brilliant wings dimmed to a dull ember, smoke rising from cracks in its armor. And across from it, the dreadfall engine still moved, slow and monstrous. Its crystal armor shattered in places but its core burning with the stolen lives of Var soldiers screaming inside. Humanity had seen powerful enemies before, but they had never seen anything like this. A Titan fueled by death itself. A weapon built from sacrifice and cruelty. A machine that grew stronger by consuming its own people. It was everything humanity feared becoming, and everything the Var had already become. The human admiral whispered, "If the dreadfall engine reaches Earth, nothing will survive." Another commander clenched his fists. "Then we stop it, even if the sky burns." In orbit, Container 1 stepped forward again, its glowing white eyes narrowing. It raised its arm, ready to break armor once more. But when it fired a beam of cutting energy, the Titan blocked it with a single twisted wing. The beam cracked the surface but didn't break through. The dreadfall engine roared, and the shockwave rattled the bones of every pilot nearby. Container 2 unleashed a gravity pulse next. The wave struck the Titan and bent its armor inward, crushing layers of crystal and metal. For a moment, the dreadfall engine staggered, its massive body shaking. But then it stabilized, feeding more stolen life energy into its core until the cracks sealed again like living wounds. Container 3 tried next. It released a mental distortion wave that should have shattered the Titan's mind, but instead the weapon recoiled, because inside the dreadfall engine were thousands of Var voices, screaming, crying, begging for release, mixing into one unimaginable storm of pain. The weapon was overwhelmed. It stepped back in shock for the first time. And then Solar Aegis Titan rose again. Slowly, painfully, its once blinding wings burned at the edges like burned fabric. Its core flickered like a dying lantern. But it rose, because it felt humanity behind it, watching, praying, hoping. Children in shelters held their parents' hands. Families kneeled on floors. Pilots whispered the names of the lost. Humanity did not want the Titan to fall, because that Titan carried their hearts inside its light. Solar Aegis Titan's voice echoed through space once more, quiet but steady. Humanity is not finished, and its core brightened again. Not gold this time, not white, but a deep brilliant blue, the color of Earth, the color of oceans, the color of calm courage. The Titan charged forward and slammed into the dreadfall engine like a meteor. Space thundered silently as the two giants collided. The shock waves shook human ships violently, but the pilots held their positions, refusing to leave. On the surface of Earth, Every human felt something strange, warmth, like a heartbeat coming from the sky. The Titan was drawing power not from the sun this time, but from humanity itself. Their memories, their love, their hope, their sadness, their determination to protect their world. The Dreadfall engine roared with pure rage, its crystal armor glowing with blood-red energy. It swung a massive energy blade, tearing space apart as it cut towards Solar Aegis. The blade ripped across the Titan's chest, carving a deep wound that glowed with flickering sparks. Solar Aegis staggered. Humanity gasped. And then, in the crack of the wound, a small light appeared. A soft, gentle light. A memory. A child's laugh. Solar Aegis Titan remembered. It remembered the children of the medical ship. It remembered the families praying below. It remembered the billions depending on it. It remembered humanity. Its hands blazed with blue fire. It grabbed the energy blade with burning palms, stopping it mid-swing. The Dreadfall engine screeched, shards of crystal exploding outward. The Titan squeezed harder, crushing the blade into glowing dust. Humanity roared, not with voices, but with hearts. The Titan released a blast of energy so powerful that the stars flickered. The pulse tore across the battlefield and shattered the crystal armor on the Dreadfall engine piece by piece. Finally, the Titan tore the armor open. Inside were thousands of VAR bodies, lifeless, floating, drained, sacrificed for their Emperor's madness. Solar Aegis Titan looked at them, and its burning blue light softened. Even now, even in war, even facing death, the Titan felt something human. Sorrow. Container 1, sensing the moment, raised its arm and fired a thin beam right at the Titan's wound. It didn't attack, it healed. The beam sealed cracks, straightened plates, restored energy flow. Container 2 stabilized the gravity field around Solar Aegis. Container 3 quieted the mental storm around them. For the first time, all 4 awakened weapons stood together, not as machines, not as tools, but as guardians. And the Dreadfall engine faced something VAR soldiers never understood. Unity born from love, not fear. But the Titan was not dead yet. With a horrible roar, the Dreadfall engine consumed the final lives of its remaining soldiers. Its core turned black, then purple, then violently bright, like a dying star preparing to explode. Humanity watched, trembling. Dr. Kira screamed into the microphone, "Everyone move! The engine is going to self-destruct." But Solar Aegis Titan stepped forward, blocking the path to Earth. It extended its arms, wings spreading wide, core blazing with the brilliance of 1,000 dawns. It whispered one last time, not with fear, but with love. For humanity. And it flew into the heart of the explosion. The sky shattered into blinding light. Human ships were thrown back. Container weapons shielded themselves. Earth trembled. Every human heart stopped for one agonizing moment. And then, silence. Only drifting sparks remained where the Dreadfall engine once stood. Solar Aegis Titan was gone. Billions watched the empty sky. Some cried. Some whispered prayers. Some whispered thank you. Earth had lost a guardian. But humanity had survived. And somewhere deep in the Atlantic bunker, Container 5 began to glow. Because the war was not over. Not yet. The light of the explosion faded slowly, like a dying star giving its last breath. Space near Earth was silent, filled only with drifting fragments of shattered energy. Human pilots rubbed tears from their eyes as they tried to steady their ships. Every screen on Earth went blank from the shockwave before flickering back to life. The first thing the world saw was the empty space where Solar Aegis Titan once stood. A void that felt like a wound. Billions watched that emptiness, and a quiet tear rolled down countless faces. People who never prayed whispered soft words into the still air. Children pressed their palms against screens, asking where the shining guardian went. Parents held their kids tightly, remembering the sacrifice. Soldiers stood frozen in their helmets, hearts beating heavy with the silent weight of loss. Solar Aegis Titan was gone, but the world it protected still lived. Humanity knew this truth deeply, painfully. A hero had fallen so a planet could breathe. And in that moment, Earth was unified not by fear, not by war, but by grief and gratitude. But grief did not stop the war. Far across the galaxy, deep inside the Var Dominion Palace, the Emperor slammed his claws into the floor, shattering the stone beneath him. He felt the death of the Dreadfall engine, felt it break, felt it fail. His rage erupted like volcanic fire. "Humans will die," he roared. "I will tear their world apart with my own hands." He rose from his throne with trembling hatred, his crystal armor glowing with unstable energy. But his court was silent, because for the first time since the Var Empire was born, his soldiers felt fear. Not of him, of what waited on Earth. They had seen the impossible. They had watched unbreakable ships fall, titans burn, ancient weapons fly. Their emperor's rage meant nothing to them now. Humanity had changed the rules of the galaxy. The emperor ordered all remaining fleets, all remaining soldiers, all remaining resources to gather for one final assault. A suicide march if needed. A last stand of madness. But even as he ordered the destruction, something happened that he did not expect. His fleet refused. One by one, ships cut their comms. Generals removed their helmets and placed them on the ground. Entire battalions walked away from their guns. They were warriors who had never known fear, but they had seen what humanity could do. Not cruelty, not blind violence. Power fueled by love, unity, and grief. Power that didn't conquer but protected. The emperor screamed, raged, threatened executions. But no one came, and for the first time in Var history, the emperor stood alone. Meanwhile on Earth, inside the Pacific bunker, lights flickered weakly from the immense energy used to awaken 4 containers. Systems were failing. Walls cracked. Heat bled through the metal plates. Felt like the bunker itself was dying. Dr. Kira Salas stared at the readings for Container 5. Its glow rising, pulse growing stronger, as if it sensed humanity's sorrow. She touched the screen with trembling fingers. "No, not you too," she whispered. "We've lost enough." But the container hummed louder. Its surface rippled like liquid metal reacting to emotion. Container 5 wasn't a weapon of destruction. It was a guardian of restoration, a beacon of healing and balance. Outside, humanity looked at the sky filled with drifting sparks, the remains of the Dreadfall engine and solar aegis. They felt both victory and heartbreak. Not one family on Earth slept that night. Not one city stayed silent. Across the planet, humanity sent a single message into the sky. Not with words, but with emotion. Thank you. Their gratitude wasn't loud. It wasn't dramatic. It was quiet and raw, carried by the hearts of billions. And Container 5 felt it. The container cracked open in the bunker as a wave of soft silver light filled the room. The air became warm and gentle. For the first time since the war began, people inside the bunker felt calm. Container 5 rose from the ground, wrapped in flowing metallic threads that moved like feathers in the wind. It wasn't a weapon shaped for war. It was shaped for hope, smooth, calm, glowing with a peaceful aura that soothed even the machines around it. When it reached orbit, it spread its wings, not of fire, not of gravity, not of energy, but of soothing silver mist. The mist drifted across space like a blanket of soft light. Pilots gasped as the tension in their bodies melted away. The debris of the battle shimmered, then dissolved gently into harmless particles. The burns on damaged ships sealed slowly. Human hearts felt lighter, breathing softer. And then something miraculous happened. The silver mist drifted toward the place where Solar Aegis Titan had vanished. The light of Container 5 enveloped that dark space, not trying to revive the Titan, not trying to recreate it, but honoring it. The mist gathered into a shape, not solid, not physical, but a beautiful silhouette of the Titan made from starlight. The galaxy watched as the shimmering figure bowed its head toward Earth one last time, and then drifted away, scattering into the wind of space like a final goodbye. Humans cried. Soldiers cried. Even the awakened weapons remained still, glowing softly in respect. With the Titan's memory honored, Container 5 turned its attention toward the final threat on Earth, the fear still lurking inside human hearts. It released another wave of silver light, this time reaching beyond orbit, down into the atmosphere, into the cities, into shelters, into hospitals. People who couldn't sleep drifted into calm dreams. Children stopped shaking. Elderly citizens felt warmth in their bones. Humanity breathed again. In that peaceful moment, a message came onto every screen in the galaxy. Sent from the Var Dominion. The Emperor was gone. Not killed. Not executed. He walked into his throne room's central reactor and ended himself, unable to face the truth. The Var Dominion surrendered unconditionally to humanity. They offered their weapons, their fleets, their territories, even their throne world, not in fear of death, but in respect for the species that broke their empire without hatred, without conquest, without cruelty. Earth responded with a single message to every species in the galaxy. We do not want your lands. We do not want your fleets. We do not want your thrones. We want peace. Those words traveled like soft wind across the universe. And something shifted. Fear faded. Respect grew. Hope awakened. The Galactic Council asked humanity to take leadership of a new alliance. A united galaxy dedicated to protecting the weak, guiding the lost, and preventing evil from rising again. Humanity accepted not with pride, but with humility. The awakened weapons returned to the Pacific bunker, their lights dimming. They stood silently as the chamber sealed around them once more. They had done their duty. They had protected their world. They had honored the fallen. Container 1 whispered, "Humanity is safe." Container 2 whispered, "Balance is restored." Container 3 whispered, "The galaxy has changed." Container 4 whispered, "The star burns brighter." Container 5 whispered, "And hope lives." The bunker sealed, the ocean waves calmed, and the galaxy told a new story. The species they called harmless broke the unbreakable. The species they underestimated saved the stars. The species that carried kindness in their hearts carried fire when needed. Humanity did not rise to conquer. Humanity rose to protect. And that is why the galaxy would never fear humans again. They would respect them.